Welcome, everyone, to our fall 2025 season of Microsoft Copilot. This is episode 3, September 9th, 2025, and I'm Jeff Lizerbaum, a pre-sales architect with Managed Solution, and I am very happy to have along with me for the ride Frank Chiarello, who is our business process manager here at Managed Solution. Frank, if you want to give yourself a little introduction.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Jeff, thanks for having me. Here at Managed Solution, I'm the primary point person for all things process related, documentation, strategic, talking through with various departments, understanding where their gaps are or their frustrations are, and then coming up with solutions that end up making the whole company run more streamlined, hopefully.
I don't know how any company would live without someone like you. I think everyone needs some nice streamlined processes to go along here. And today, actually, we're going to be talking about some of the tool sets that you might use, Frank, in your
Mhm.
role. Particularly, we're going to be covering Copilot notebooks, even though they're kind of new in the Copilot world, but there's some really cool stuff and really streamlined things you can get out of it. So why don't we go ahead and dig into it?
Yeah.
All right. Now, Frank, I don't know about you, but if your desk looks anything like this, then maybe Copilot notebooks might be for you. Do you ever experience anything like this?
But it's funny because my desk is fairly minimal, but that's my brain essentially at all times.
Exactly. So let's see what we could do to get around this. And also, I'm kind of throwing in a theme here in this presentation because for many parents, it's really kind of back to school for their kids.
Mm.
And I know how students are, and my kids were the same way. It's like, oh man, we have school to go back to. And the thing is that hopefully Copilot notebooks are going to make things a little bit easier because what they're geared for is kind of doing what you do as our business processor manager, which is to gather content, get answers, start creating things, and really start putting things together. So maybe what we can do, Frank, is kind of go over Copilot notebooks, what they are, the anatomy of them, and how we go about creating kind of start to finish uh, projects and communications through them. What do you say?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, you did touch on how Copilot notebooks can be beneficial just with thinking through ideas as it relates to processes, things like that. Obviously the way that Copilot Notebooks is built is it utilizes up to 20 reference files that it can then synthesize and drill down towards a specific goal, which is kind of how thinking about, notebooks versus OneNote, it's what's the difference. Copilot Notebooks is more best used for individual research, whereas OneNote is better for collaborative purposes and institutional memory, things like that, so that you have that collaboration. And Notebooks is more focused on what is the goal that you're trying to achieve based on the references, the information that you're providing Copilot. So in the case of business process management, I could do something like take existing process guides, explain, or have other reference documents that I can provide that explain, where the gaps are or what the bridge I would like to see based on where we want to be in our future state. And then have Copilot kind of just build from there and provide feedback on suggestions for processes, refinements, things like that, and just get the wheels spinning and kind of going from there.
Yeah. Well, I actually built out a demonstration project, maybe something similar that we've worked on in the past and pretty recent,
Hmm.
where there was a large tenant merger project, and I know audience-wise here, you might have different use cases as far as business processes and what you do, particularly in your role. So this
Hmm.
example might have a little bit of technical areas, but this is an example of a Copilot notebook that I created, and it's called the Artificial Tenant Merger Project. So it's a fictitious company, of course, but this is a place where we gather materials. And Frank, if you can also tell me, you mentioned where we can add references here. You said there was maybe a limit of what we can do, but anything to expand on what we include in notebooks here?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've been playing with this and giving it thought as well, and I do have some potential setup suggestions for when creating a notebook, and some common use cases as well as some less common high value use cases if you want to get into that at some point. But just in terms of setup suggestions, it's like thinking about from an overview perspective, what are the boundaries of Copilot notebooks? It utilizes up to 20 reference files, which again, most of which are files within the Microsoft or Office 365 environment, and PowerPoint, Word docs, things like that. Even OneNote pages can be brought into notebooks and then synthesized from there. The good thing is it kind of removes that context switching, providing more focused answers as opposed to, say, if you went to Copilot and started pulling from random websites and things like that. So it eliminates data dilution from that way. So in terms of setup, what I found can work well is treating your notebook like a curated project folder, and you can group core docs, which are things that are less likely to be swapped out if you do hit that 20 reference limit. Then you can have your deep dive documents that are going to be more specific resources based on the specific needs that you're trying to get based on those goals with using the notebook. And then something else you can consider too is utilizing a master reference sheet or an index that Copilot can then reference and utilize for cross-linking between the references that you're providing, so it knows what the intention of each of those files are ahead of time.
So to demonstrate what we're talking about here in terms of indexing, this is a great idea in order to incorporate into your notebooks. So let's say you have a list of files that are residing in a document library, and there's a bunch of them that you want to include in the notebook's knowledge base. So here's an example of where summarizing documents in a OneDrive. This is just an example. You can also do it in SharePoint and other sources. But this table right here is going to go right into our notebook so that we can use it for additional files for grounding purposes. So when we ask Copilot notebooks of getting some detailed information from our list of references, these indexes are actually helpful in expanding that knowledge. So again, in notebooks, very easy to go back to the artificial project index here, and there is a table of indexes, and this way our notebooks have a lot more knowledge and grounding than the default 20 as was explained. So great tips and tricks here, definitely recommended for using within your Copilot notebooks.
On the topic of this output that you're demonstrating right now, one of the things you can think about as well is kind of reference inception, where it's synthesizing based on your prompt and any of the reference files you may have provided, and it's giving you this output, which then could be used as like a summary page that could be fed back into Copilot as a way of summarizing what it needs to know, and then maybe you can free up some of those resource spots for more detailed meeting notes or things like that.
That's a really good point. Yeah, consolidating, all of the data together is that's always a good thing to do. And certainly, this is where we can have that opportunity. We can create like a one-page executive summary if we wanted based on this.
Yeah, exactly.
So a common question that comes around these notebooks is how do we collaborate within the notebooks? Let's show you. I'm going to head on over into the notebook artificial tenant merger project here, and I'm going to open up the project plan that Frank and we need to collaborate and make some changes. And in the upper right, you're going to see the sharing icon. When we click on that, there's two options. We can share the page link directly and create a link within Teams or email the link, however that method is preferred. Or we can actually copy the link component within a document so that users can go ahead and collaborate real time. And the driving engine behind all of this is Microsoft Loop. That is the collaboration engine behind several of the Microsoft ecosystem collaboration capabilities here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll click on page link, and let's take a look who this page is currently shared with. And I have a person here. Most likely it's Frank. Sure enough, it is. And right now, Frank is set to edit. So we could make some changes. We can also grant additional access here. We can do more advanced settings. But in this case, Frank is the one who has that access to edit. And what I could do is that if I wanted to change Frank's access here, I can go into the more options, just like we do with any other types of sharing mechanisms, and I can go ahead and make that change so that maybe I just want Frank to be able to view instead of edit. So that's certainly a capability within these pages here, and that's how these are shared out.
So in terms of sharing, my understanding is currently there is a limitation around not being able to share entire notebooks, but as you've just demonstrated, you are able to share individual pages. So that is a distinction. So you can't just be like, hey, here's my entire notebook, do with it what you will. It's more, here's the output that I have that I can share with you.
That's totally correct. From a notebook level, just like this right here, I cannot share. It's purely, this is under my ownership. And really right now, that's how it's designed. But when you go deeper into your notebook, and if you need to share certain pages out of here, just like we did, I can go back in here, and Frank and I are continuing to work together and modifying anything related to like a project plan that we're working on together.
Are you utilizing custom instructions with this notebook currently?
So one really cool thing about the instructions, Frank, that you actually pointed out to me was that you can actually ask Copilot how it wants to behave. Let me show you what I mean. Up here, we can edit the Copilot instructions. And right now, I have some instructions that I've provided how I want this notebook to really kind of respond and behave. Now, you can focus on topics, you can use specific tones, which is kind of neat, and you can respond in formats. So if you say like, hey, I'd rather just have you formatted and all the output in bulleted lists, let's do it that way. The way that I modeled this was that a lot of the information that I collect sometimes, I not only like to read it, but I also like to listen to it. So I definitely want some of that output to be much more in human language.
Right. Well, you made a good point. You can utilize the instructions to set the tone, the style, role awareness. But what's neat too is that you can save these prompts and you can use them for any time you're engaging with a new notebook or a new subject or a new topic. And if there are certain things that you want to have consistency between these notebooks, especially in terms of style or tone, you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. You can more or less refine from that point. But I do have some examples of some fun ideas of how to use the instructions, some common use cases, some not so common, more advanced things. But if anything, it allows you to think about the different ways that you can engage with Copilot notebooks. And real quick, as an aside, something to think about when you're prompting, either prompting or drafting instructions is you can come about it a few different ways, right? It can be role scoped prompts where you tell it like you are an expert in financial analysis and I need you to review the past X amount of budget reports, and you can provide a specific goal just based on the role you want Copilot to play. You can make it time bound. As I said, you can say, hey, go back and look at the last 6 meetings over the last few months and report what the recurring trends are and things like that. You can have onboarding documents. This is something big that I've been thinking about a lot, as the process manager. So a lot of it is, it's great. We have a lot of tenured veterans here, and they may be familiar with the process. Even as we refine it, it's kind of a small tweak for them. But if you bring in somebody cold and they've not experienced the organization before, what is the most optimal way and friendly way that we can get them onboarded and feeling comfortable and confident so they can hit the ground running and feel like they're set up for success? And one of the things you can do with a Copilot notebook is take existing training documentation, Q&A transcripts, other relevant reference sources, and then ask it to draft a training outline, make it a 30-minute session, and provide exercises. And you can run through that and test it out internally. One other one that's fun is compliance readiness, which is a big thing for us in general, right? So if you're trying to audit for compliance readiness, you can have it identify the potential delta that exists between your existing policies by uploading any of the relevant references that show it your existing policies, PDFs, whatever it may be, versus specific industry standards, whatever, ISO 9000, whatever it may be, and then say, hey, where are the gaps and what do we need to get from here to there?
Really good ideas, Frank. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, this is actually very much built like a formal process document now. It's not only giving the background, it's giving the why, what the goal is, what are the considerations you have to make, what are the best practices, and what are the tools involved, who are the stakeholders. So that's really cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah. One kind of cool thing that is changing the way that we think about our documentation, maybe as we're prepping for a project, maybe as we're prepping for meetings, is that if we're out and remote on the job and we're driving from one site to another, you don't have to read this. You can actually listen to it. So I'm going to just play just an overview. This is just the default audio overview that happens with this particular notebook.
Good day, and welcome to our detailed discussion centering on Art Official's tenant consolidation and modern workplace transformation, authored and led by the Managed Solution team. Today's focus, the methodology and key considerations behind merging multiple organizations into a unified Microsoft 365 platform.
So that's an example there. It goes through a pretty this is about a 15-minute overview in audio that you can maybe listen on the way, to the project itself, or maybe you're just kind of chilling and you want to maybe prep for the next day. I think these are good ideas. It's instead of being able to read something on paper or on the screen, just to listen. So one of those things that were kind of a benefit there. One other way, just to take it a step further, is that if say like you're in marketing and you want to make things a little bit more creative, just going a little step further. It didn't really take me long to do this, but we can actually create some effective podcasts that really have realistic voices to it. And I'm going to show you an example. Yeah, I'm going to show you an example of this as this starts loading. But check this out. I'll just play the first, few seconds of this.
Missy, I still can't believe we survived merging 3 tenants. It was like reality TV, but with more spreadsheets and less drama, barely.
Totally. Let's dive into that first phase, the assessment planning saga.
Now, if you've ever wondered what it's like to go full Sherlock Holmes on digital assets, this phase is it.
So you can kind of get an idea about how you might want to apply it to something maybe marketable with what we do as an organization.
Yeah, and something you mentioned as well, if you're mobile and you need to continue collaborating, or somebody's updating a document and you can utilize the audio, you can use the Copilot mobile app to be able to access everything on the go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Yeah, this also brings back memories of a former project that involved three tenants merging.
Well, well, Frank, I'm so happy that you're here along for the ride on this webinar, bringing your expertise and the ideas and the way that you make business process better here at Managed Solutions. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. It's been really fun talking about this. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, as we wrap things up here today, hopefully everyone got something out of learning about Copilot Notebooks and really what they can do in your daily routine. Notebooks are there to gather your content, get answers, start creating. But I think first and foremost, it's really to help, as Frank mentioned in the beginning of our chat, was to really kind of organize your mind. Everything, all decisions and content really can be focused within Copilot Notebooks to really organize things much better. So hopefully after that, your first day of school went from kind of being bummed out to the last day of school where you graduated and everyone loves their notebooks now. So hopefully everyone got something out of this. On a final note, if you need any additional information or want to learn more about our events coming up, we still have more Copilot coming at you this fall. And you can go to managedsolution.com/events and register for any of the upcoming webinars that are happening. You can also catch up on things that we did in the past. So if you wanted to watch anything that's related to Copilot or security secrets or things like that, there's a rich set of information, and not only me, but members of my team have really joined and provided their insights into several things. So thanks again, everyone, and we're going to open it up now for questions and answers.